So I'd like to start with who is Mai Atafo. I think a lot of people have different definitions of who you might be, but it'd be good to hear from you as well, who you are.
I'm a man. And my name is quite interesting. My name, Ohimai, which is not my full name, and I won't bother you the full name.
What is your full name?
It's quite long. But the meaning of my name is a perfect creation by God that is well done. Like a perfect creation by God. And my name, the my part is what is the perfect creation part. Something that is well done, it's beautiful, perfect is my. So from my language perspective, it means that every piece that you get from my is literally perfect. And that's where that came from. And I decided to take a break in 2010 to face fashion full time. So while I was in Diageo, I started my fashion journey, pretty much. So I did it for 3 years while I was working full time.
Wow.
Before I resigned and decided to face fashion full time. I didn't have a vision of what I was going to do. I have an idea of what I was going to do. I just decided to do it because I love doing fashion pretty much. So there was no grand plan at all. Even till now, the grand plan is still kind of rolling as it goes, but now I have a better vision. But when I decided to do it, I didn't know what I was going into, to be very honest, you know. So yeah, so that's pretty much me in a nutshell. So I would finish from work at 5, 6, and then I'll go to meet my tailors, and we'll do that till about 11, 12 at night, and that will continue again. But I enjoyed it. So it didn't feel like it was so much, and again, then it was very, I wouldn't use the word like a disco, but it was like, you know, we're doing anything that came to us. The brand had no ethos. We're not menswear or women's or bridal or sartorial or anything. We're just, there's a shave here, bring it, we can make it. I want to make a waistcoat, yeah, we'll do that. I want to make trousers, yeah, we can make trousers. I want to make a pencil skirt, pencil skirt, that's our middle name. So we're literally doing anything at all.
Yeah.
That's because we just love what we're doing. And that's because I never looked at it as a business. You know, it was till I quit my job and I was doing it full time, then, you know, I started realizing that I needed money to do other things. And, you know, when you're doing the full time, sometimes the money from there feeds your passion, and you think you're making money. Because you're not actually calculating your cost of production or your cost for anything, because there's money coming in from there, which is actually sheltering a lot of stuff. But when it's like what you're doing is the only thing that is bringing the money, you know, then it's a lot of problem. So when you talk of like entrepreneurs, they're like, you know, small and medium scale, they are always broke just because they're reinvesting their money in the business.
Yeah.
It's like you have to get investors that understand what you do.
Absolutely.
If they don't understand what you do, they probably just give you money and they want everything from you at the end of the day, you know. So it's important that they understand, or, you know, angel investors would be amazing, you know.
Well, one thing I think you've definitely been able to do, and I know a lot of people here know about your brand and know who you are. You've been in the industry for so long. How long have you been in the fashion industry
I've
now?
been in the industry now full time about 7.5 years.
Okay.
But if we count the 3 years when I was working and doing it, that'll be 10.5 years. Okay,
that's amazing. And I think throughout that period, I can say that you're definitely one of the brands that has always been at the top.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely. I'm sure I say that. And I'm not, this is not me, like just being, you know, because you're here. How have you managed that? Because it's difficult. Like every single day there's a new fashion designer, there's a new person, there's a new tailor around the corner, so it cannot be easy to just, you know, maintain that. What do you think your secret is?
I think one of the key things is, I tell people this, and for me I always learn, is your product has to be on point regardless of wherever you are. Your product has to be super good. Because why I do women's wear and why I do bridal is that it actually challenges me mentally. And that's why I love it so much. It's like my nerves are always like that till the dress goes out and the bride is wearing it and wearing there. Like, whew. So for me, it's get your product right. Once your product is right, one thing you do consistently is build your brand. There's no stopping to building your brand. You have to continue building your brand. I always say Coca-Cola always advertises.
Absolutely.
The key message in Coca-Cola is the same thing, right? It's about happiness. But happiness could be grrr today. Happiness could be open your bottle to, like, you know, joy and this and that. But it can be Christmas, and the Christmas again is also happiness. You're spreading joy and happiness, so it's happiness. But they do different things. They keep saying, "Yeah, we're Coca-Cola, look at us. We're Coca-Cola, look at us," every single time. You know, so as brands that we do not have the kind of funds that Coca-Cola has, right? You have to always be on top of your game. So I always leverage on relationships. That's the most I can do at this point in time. We gives your brand that length and breadth. So like my partnership with the wedding party, which at the time we didn't know whether it would be one of the biggest movies on the continent when I was approached to do it. But I looked at the opportunity, I looked at the people involved in it, and I said, you know what, I'll do it happily, and I did it. And literally, that gave my brand almost a good 360 turn for wedding dresses the year after. Yeah, it was literally, and it was so easy because as someone in marketing, you ask, you know, someone calls, I want to order a wedding dress and blah, blah, blah. You're like, so where did you hear? They're like, oh yeah, the wedding party. People even say it before you ask. Like, oh, you made the dress in the wedding party, you're making my dress. I've been making things from Banky since 2012. Yeah. And I started making things for Adesua like 2 years before. Every now and then. And she's my friend. She was in my music video. Yes, I do have a song, by the way.
Really?
We'll talk about that later.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Oh, you know that? Yeah?
No.
Google is your friend.
I know.
So, you know, so she's also my friend. Our first movie role, major movie role, was a short movie. I was a casting director in the movie. Yeah, so I sat down there and said, she should get the job. She's really good. Then my first movie, I was a cameo. She was in the movie, and I was in the movie cameo. You know, so we've been meeting. I became friends and stuff. So when Banky proposed, I mean, I knew I was going to propose before he proposed.
Were you one of the inside?
I was one of the insiders. It was very hard to keep that secret for long. You know,
wow.
Like I made him the jacket he used to propose. So I told him, dress up like this, do that. He told me everything. So. Snitching is very, you know, easy to do.
This is exclusive, yo.
You know,
just saying.
So I was fully aware of literally like everything. And when they came back to Nigeria, he had to tell her he had proposed. So I had to act like I was surprised. You know, but I got really surprised. I love both of them. I love their love, and they're my two very dear friends. So making the outfits for the wedding was huge. Like literally, I think my followers on the weddings page must have grown by almost 4,000 to 5,000. Wow. Yeah, over the wedding period.
And we're talking.
Literally, I went from 14,000 to 18,000 followers on Weddings by Mai Atafo after I launched a heart collection, which I did the Beauty and the Beast thing kind of like help in that push with the celebrities. Then we moved from like 18,000 to where we are, which is 25,000 right now on the page, literally from the wedding. And my box, I mean, DMs was close to like maybe like 100, and emails were like close to 50. Literally on that, from people telling you, I like this style, just like say hi. People say, you're gonna make my wedding dress, I want the exact same one you made for her. You know, I don't know if I can afford it, you know, but that went on. So for me, you have to like literally pick the things that would give you the liver. You know, relationship with brands, you know, sometimes it may not be related to actually making the clothing, but it helps the equity of the brand generally. You know, so I was on the cooking show or baking show with Bailey's the other time. Oh, yes, and I had to co-bake with someone, you know. And it's funny the number of people interaction I got based on that, and that's not tailoring. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. But it helps build the brand, so it's important. So for me, building the brand is very important. It's something I do continuously and look for ways to do it. If it's not a direct campaign that I'm planning myself, anything that falls on my lap, I analyze it very well. If it works, I go for it. It's not about brand management, it's about consumer management. So it's not about who you are, it's about what the people want. So you always have to give them what they want, because they determine what happens. So your brand can be this big brand. You can tell them, I'm the coolest brand because I'm cool. If they don't think you're cool, then you're not cool.
You're not cool, yeah.
So they decide. So you have to always figure out, what do they want? Where are their heads now? You
mentioned there when you were answering the question that there were a few potential, maybe international celebrities that you probably would like to clothe.
Oh, yes.
Can you give us some names, just maybe 5?
Only 5?
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding. I would like to clothe David Beckham.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he has a very diverse style. Okay. So he can wear jeans and t-shirt and look good in So I like to put him in a kaftan and see what he looks like at the end of the day. But I think he cracks, suits is very, very dapper, very clean cut. It's amazing. I think he'll be one that would literally explode my brand. I would also like to clothe Idris Elba in a suit. That's because the girls like him a lot. So Idris is like hot chocolate for the ladies. So yeah, if you put Idris in anything, I think they will just actually just literally. Not a specific person, but I think my career would peak if I'm going to be the first African to clothe a Bond. I'm a 100% Bond person. It's like when you're wearing a tuxedo, actually would James Bond do it? Literally.
That's interesting because you had a collection that
which was inspired
Bond.
by James Bond, by the whole Bond thing. So like Tom Ford is the first American to clothe James Bond, which is like not very British to allow an American clothe the English agent, but it happened. So maybe there's room somewhere for the African, and I'm hoping I'll be the African to clothe James Bond. But that's a character that I'm more than happy rather than individual.
Right, give us one more.
Yeah. I'll give you one more. Then we do a lady. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's one person I'm thinking. I don't know.
No, I probably would not give you that person. But yeah.
How do you? Okay.
I probably will not give you that person.
Okay.
In terms of brand explosion, people that I've picked, I think that I can relate to my brand with them. That's
so
why. It's not about who they are at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So when I think of girls, I always think of weddings by us, and I think that if someone like a Gigi Adi was supposed to get married one day, or even Kendall, I will happily clothe them for their wedding.